How are you?
It's good, man. It's kind of early here, but I'm dedicated to being on this show. I'm 12 hours ahead, so it's Monday morning.
It is Monday morning. You are in a different time zone, in a different day than all the rest of us. Well, no, I won't say all, because some people watch all over the world. But for those who are on today and literally don't understand, where are you right now?
So right now I'm in Bali, Indonesia, and most people know about it as a beautiful place on the other side of the world. Uh,
Yes.
Become home because of this little pandemic we got going on. So I just been here since January, making a life out of it, man.
Well, you have done a great job, man. You have made an amazing name for yourself. When I got to meet you, it was on a show with our mutual brother, Howard, and he is my man. Monroe is like the dude, like he's cool and just collected. So I am glad that you're on today. When you were on that, and I'm kind of jumping right in, because when you were on that show, you were like giving us some information about a life transformation or a life realization that you were willing to share. Tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll proceed.
It's a lot, man. Don't have me on here crying again, but
I
basically,
got you, brother. You're in a safe space. Welcome to the heart. This is where you have safe space to talk about life and love and success, and you got all of that. So let's talk about it.
yeah, man. No, I think the biggest thing, just to keep it condensed, so we can keep it a little condensed. I
You're
think
good. You're good.
I think, that topic, we were really talking about self-love like we're talking on here. And it was really on my journey to self-love, because so many times we externalize the things that we want people to see about us. We create personas. And I spent all of my life creating this persona. And it looked successful. It looked, popular. It looked good for the gram, but it wasn't good for my soul.
Mm.
And 2019 was a lot of breaking down of everything. I lost everything from relationships to best friendships to career. Like, I just let go of everything, and I got to see. But the most important thing I let go was like the toxic side of me, man, because I had a lot of things going on that tend to develop the more that you hide who you really are, and the more you hide your authentic self. So, man,
Saying that.
been a journey to authenticity, a journey to vulnerability, and, man, a journey to being here to talk to you. And it's scary, but it's for the better version of myself, man.
Well, let's talk about that, because that is so important. And thank you for the space that you were able to share that, but also where you are now in those weeks and months since that interview and being able to release that. First, dive a little deeper into what you shared, because I think people might have a little bit of uncertainty about what you were talking about. But dive into, after you share that, why it's scary.
I mean, it's scary being your authentic self, man. It can be so scary to share a lot of things about yourself that you've hid for all your life.
Mm.
Be everything from being gay
Yeah.
to uh to just having all these toxic traits, just everything that I would hide. And so a lot of times, everybody's born with masculine and feminine sides, and for me, I spent all my life hiding that feminine energy, because I didn't want anybody to think I was gay growing up. And so that was also equated to everything from love, empathy, vulnerability. And so I hid those parts of myself too. And you know what happens? That's why so many guys out here are just dealing with toxic masculinity. It's just
Yeah.
pervasive in our society, bro, because we hide the parts of us that make us human, that we hide the parts of us that we love. And so what I shared on that last episode is that I think the thing that broke me, the thing that really opened me up, was having malaria. So having malaria, I spent 6 days in the hospital bed. I was literally dying. I was on my deathbed. And I tell this story because what broke me was my mother. My
Mm.
mother I was in the bed for like 5 days, and my mother, she only had 2 chairs to sleep in,
Wow.
and way to Brazil to save me, and she was sitting on 2 chairs the whole time and didn't leave my side not one time.
Mm.
And I was like, that's what love is. Like, I just was like, yo, I was like, I'm on this bed about to die, couldn't see, couldn't do anything for
Yeah.
myself, and I'm like, this is love. Like, forget, you know, anything else, forget buying somebody something, forget like you know, physical touch, quality, what's the love language?
All the 5 love languages.
That, seeing my mother do that, that sacrifice, that just pure dedication to somebody, that's love. And it was like, yo, I can't leave the world without spreading this same type of love to everybody. I can't leave this world without spreading this love to myself, because my mom loved me so much. She would be there for me even when I wasn't there for myself, even when I didn't love myself. So that's what broke me, man. And, you know, it was like God be sending down signs. You just like, okay, this is the message. I get it. I got it.
I love it. Well, that's powerful, because there are so many people, and I want everybody hearing this, and including you, to understand this. Like, there are so many people who are living in the fear of being themselves. And you know, the only thing the only reason that fear comes up is because we literally know we are enough all by ourselves. We know we are enough. We know deep down that we are enough. And I'm so glad you shared that, because there is somebody out there who needed to hear that right when you need it, love will show up and make a sacrifice in your life to prove that love is still present. And brother, as somebody who's had suicidal thoughts in the past, I understand completely that right when I thought I was about to let go, love saved my life.
Wow.
And when you can only do that when you are completely empty, love is like, nah, son, you're not done yet. You have more to give. You are enough the way you are, and you got to show who you are, because your expression, your giving, your who you are, the true self, is your unique gift back to God.
No, and first of all, I just want to thank you for sharing that, because, you know, even thoughts about mental health and being your true self, man, that's something that I really had to learn during this time. And you also brought up emptiness, and I have a YouTube channel now, and I talk about a lot of my journey. And
Yeah.
one of the things I talked about on the journey to healing, like I talk about it like this cup. Like, I brought up a cup in the beginning.
Come on, that's a classic cup right there. That's a What restaurant did you take that from?
All right, this that old that Applebee's, Olive Garden, everything.
Right,
Applebee's.
that's an Applebee's cup right there.
But no, I talk about how everybody talks about, okay, I want my cup to be full. I want my cup to runneth over. And so many times we just fill up our cup, but you filling up your cup with sewer water. Like, you filling up your cup with toxic thoughts and limiting beliefs, and you're filling up the cup with things that literally are not going to serve you. And it's only when you do, and I just turned 38. And
Mm.
so, you know, it's so hard to make a change. Like, everything you are to let go at almost 40, I didn't even know who I was, bro. I had to, but I knew I had to empty out my cup. Like, when you talk about knowing, I was like, I have to let all these things go to get to who I am. I don't know who I am. We'll find out. And I've been spending this last year just doing the work, doing the dedication, because through that, I'll be able to help more people. And
Absolutely.
from that episode was that my story, because the amount of DMs and messages I got, I'm like, yo,
I can imagine.
I'm just out here telling my business. I ain't mean to be. I didn't know it was going to change or help so many people, but it revealed to me more of my purpose. It revealed to me that being authentic and being honest and being open, it opens up something in other people, and I know that's a huge part of why you do this show, because you realize that early on. I didn't know that. I didn't know that other people were going through these things. Because when you're going through pain, man, I felt so alone. Like all the thoughts that I've had over these last 8-9 months, I'm like, nobody's having these thoughts. I'm like,
Let me tell you
literally,
something,
I'm
brother.
alone.
This is why. Let me say two things because this is really important. This is really important. I want you to hear this because this will help you a little bit further. Number one, your pain has purpose. Every bit of your pain has purpose. As a young man who was adopted, molested, abused, has been set back, has been lied on, has been cheated on, as somebody who knows what it means to have stuff hidden in your family and to have suicidal thoughts, as somebody who has been through a lot of stuff and has sat in jail cells and knows what it means to be impoverished and knows what it means to sleep in your car, as somebody who has been through some stuff in their life, I can tell you that your pain has purpose. Your pain, honestly, often is not for you. Have you ever seen, think about this, have you ever seen a sign that says, slow down, children?
No.
Okay, so you know the sign on the street that's
Oh,
like,
wait. Oh, yeah. When it's
yeah,
slow,
slow down because it's children.
cars are coming by the kids. My
Yeah,
bad. Yeah.
because it's car.
That's
You know
the same.
why? Because
Oh,
traditionally, when there's a sign there, a child has lost his or her life because somebody was driving too fast.
yes.
The reason why people put speed bumps in places is because they realized that there was some kind of pain that happened, some experience that was negative. And so a speed bump was created so that people would have to slow down in the future. Your pain is literally a speed bump for some people, so that they would have to slow down and see that their life can be better if they would look from your experiences. They would see the sign that's put up because of what you went through. Your life is signage for some people to re-examine the course that they're on and re-examine the way that they're living. That's number one.
Yeah. No,
Your
Byron.
pain has purpose.
It's so hard though, man. It's so hard. And I can remember because people don't know that. People don't know. We want to hide our pain. We want to
Mm.
hide. You know how people suffer in silence? You know,
Yes.
that's just what we're supposed to do. And so there's when you're going through those things, it's so hard to share. It's so hard to be on the other side of it. But that's a signal to you that you're getting on the other side of it. And what I want to say about that too is I also want to talk about the difference between pain and suffering, because I had to learn that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
because as pain is just the physical part of it. Pain is if you get hit by a car, if somebody pours some hot grits on you, that's what the pain is coming from. The pain is going to come from those physical things, but the suffering is what we do to ourselves. And
Yes.
I remember when you do talk about suicide, I remember that I was in so much suffering that it turned into physical pain. I was so much suffering about the friendships that I lost, the relationships that I lost, and the piece of myself that I was like, I could understand how somebody could kill themselves. The stuff was so deep, and I was like, wow, I get it. But the thing that I learned is that suffering is the stories that we tell ourselves. Suffering is you figure out a story and you attach it to that and you stay in those emotions
Come
forever.
on.
It's like the grits burns you on the stove, but you keep going back to that stove again and again. You're gonna learn not to go back to it. But when we suffer, we keep going back to that stove, keep letting them grits. You ever try to fry some catfish with like a shirt off? Like you ever try to fry some bacon?
Yes. That is not wise, anybody. That is not wise. I've done that before. Yes.
Yeah, man. So I just want people to really understand that, it's hard to say, because a lot of times they say, happiness is a choice.
Mm.
And I don't necessarily agree. I think happiness is our natural state. Like we're born happy. Like we're born in joy and love. We choose to suffer. And so I want people to stop choosing to suffer.
Oh, that is so good, brother. You do choose to suffer. Look, I deal with people all the time who are single and unhappy. That is like the crux of what I deal with. Even people who are in, well, I will say it's half and half, because there are people that are unhappy who are single, and there are people who are unhappy in their relationships. And in both situations, it's because of the way they think. in both. So while I'm a love coach, I really am a mind shifter. I literally have to change the way people think about their circumstances and their situations. Uh, like honestly, today I was on this point about most of what we are struggling with when it comes to what we want and what we've experienced and what we're missing or lacking from our lives is nothing but time. We're
Yeah.
frustrated. Like you even mentioned, I'm 40 years old. And at this point, I thought I should know myself by now. I didn't know myself by now. Time has become an additional pain factor because had it happened at what you're telling yourself is, had it happened at 25, it would make more sense, and I feel better about this, and it would feel better because I'd be younger and I would be able to live more of my life in the way that I wanted it. But we negate the fact, number one, that life brought us on this journey and the journey has no time. Time is truly, thank you, Newton, time is truly relative. It is relative to you. And you can choose to say, in this time, it doesn't matter how many years it's been. It doesn't matter how long it's taken. I am choosing today to own where I am and to make a different choice for today that's going to lead me to a different outcome tomorrow. And when you wash away time and you say 40 doesn't matter, 30 doesn't matter, 50 doesn't matter, I get people that deal with the fact that I'm 50, I'm 45, I'm 40, and I haven't found love, or I'm not in a relationship, or I don't have kids. And I'm like, do you realize that you are setting the boundaries, the parameters, the limitations on your own life?
Yeah.
The reality is none of that matters. What matters is today I choose to be happy with where I am. I understand that I have awareness, more awareness than I had yesterday. And I'm excited about what that means about the potential for my future. In fact, that means I'm attracting better than what I had before because
But
I'm more aware and clear. Yes.
but Byron, I gotta say, man, I think when you bring up time and you bring up age, I in my mind I was living a good life. I was like, I'm good. I got access to all the dates I want. I got my career is doing well. But it really I challenge people to go a little bit deeper because people can be 40, 50, 60 and never find love because they don't love themselves. They haven't done the work on themselves authentically. And
Yes.
that living out here in Bali, this is like the self-care, consciousness raising, higher vibe place of the world. And there's so many people that travel here to find themselves and to heal. And if I hear the trauma word one more time, like that's people talk about their traumas. You will out here in Bali, you will literally hear about somebody's traumas before you hear their last name. Like it's like, okay. But what I what I've seen is that people do come out here to do the work. And I know living in
Mhm.
America, I'm from Detroit, went to FAMU, lived in New York, Atlanta, LA, lived in all of the places where black people are and everybody is.
Mhm.
And I've seen that a lot of times we just go around kind of disillusioned. We look and compare ourselves to everybody else, and
Yes.
try to we try to base who we are off of what we see in others. And that's what I was doing. And I was good at it. I was good at pretending. I was good at creating this persona where people would see me and view me like, oh, Elton has a lot of friends. He's always traveling. He's living his good life. He has a show. All these things that occur externally, but nobody, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, I didn't know who I was. I did not
Yes.
look at myself and know who I was. And there was one defining moment where I was filming my show, Lens of Culture. It's the first time we were filming last April of 2019.
Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you. Manifestation, let's call it that. But I remember the camera came on, and that first minute, I was like, yo, I felt like I feel like that camera, everybody could see every insecurity I had. I feel like everything that I had done bad was going to be in front of that camera. I was like, yo, this is the most like revealing. I felt like it was an x-ray. I felt like it showed everything about me. I felt raw, naked,
That's
and
good.
I didn't like, but I didn't like what was there. I was like, yo, if this camera is an X-ray, I don't like what people see. I don't like what people can find out about me. And so that started the journey, and it started me to like who I was with
Mm.
nobody, because that's hard. A lot of people don't like who they are. A lot of people don't like to sit with themselves,
Yeah.
meditate. They don't like to. They they can't even be alone by themselves without being on the phone and checking for everybody else. They can't even uh, be alone with themselves. So how you gonna find love if you don't even like yourself?
Brother, you are speaking to somebody who has been so deep in self-denial. And I like that word because denying self is what many of us do on a day-to-day basis. We imitate, we have imposter syndrome. We try to duplicate and copy what other people are doing. We want to look like them. We want to dress like them. We need as many followers as them. You know, when I started this show, there were other people that had started shows as well and had started shows after me, and their shows had started doing better. And there was a part I realized, and this is me as somebody who teaches self-love, who said to myself, wow, they're getting more followers. What am I doing wrong? You know, and so that's the first thought. And that's most of our first thoughts is I must be doing something wrong. This is why I have learned why to talk about love in the imagery of a journey. Because when you think about traveling, as a young man who has traveled so much in your life, you know that no two people, even if they're on the same plane, going to the same destination, no two people have the same journey. No two people. You are in different positions when you're in the check-in for the airplane. You pull up in different vehicles. Even on the highway, leaving your house, you're starting from different points. Even if you had the same vehicle, you would take different lanes and arrive at different times. And so as much as you try to copy, there is no way to duplicate perfectly anybody else's journey. And so that is why it's so important to own your own. Because let me tell you something, when you start doing that, you start seeing what's real in your life. You start acknowledging the reality. And you know what? That reality is power. Let me just say this, and I don't get a lot of really super spiritual on these shows because I am a spiritual man, and I don't think you have to talk about spiritual things all the time to be spiritual. But in this instance, I think it's relevant. In Revelations, it talks about we overcome by the blood of the Lamb, but also, hear this, the power, the word of our testimony. And if the enemy of our lives is going to do anything, it's going to try to shut down our testimony. We're already covered, right? We're already covered by that blood. Whether you acknowledge it, you're covered. You are covered. So in case you were wondering, the spirit of love covers us every day, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. But that testimony is our choice. Whether we own our testimony or not is our choice. And to live your truth is the power of your testimony. So when I talk about all the things I've done wrong and all the things that have been done wrong to me, that is power. It's not just power for my life, but it's power for the lives of those that hear it. My brother, when you told your story, I felt that power emanating as you talked, and all the DMs you got was only reflective of the power that comes from true honesty, vulnerability, and transparency. So again, thank you for that, for where you are and your ability to share that, because a lot of people are stuck in a hiding space. And no matter how hard you try to live a fulfilled life, you can never truly be 100% fulfilled until you live in your truth.
Exactly. And you brought it, like, and we're our only enemies, man. Like the idea that there's these external forces or there's this external enemy, we make all these decisions ourselves. And whenever we go into these into these emotions of comparison, which breeds jealousy. When we go
Yes.
these emotions of guilt, which breeds fear and anger and contempt. When we go into all these other emotions, and a lot of times we don't even know it. Like, that was the biggest thing for me. I didn't even realize it. I didn't even realize the people I hurt because I was reacting from my own hurt space.
Whew.
I didn't realize any of these things, and and what I saw is that I was my own enemy. And I think a lot of people have to see, if you continue to attract these toxic relationships, if you continue to stay in a career that you don't like, if you continue to have a body that doesn't reflect who you want to be or who you are, that's
Yes.
all you. It's all a version of your habits and the ideals and the thoughts that you have. And
Mm.
so your own worst enemy. It's not anybody else, man. It's not anybody doing anything to you. The thing that I had to do, I had to take responsibilities for everything in my life. Everything that happened. I even took responsibility for the malaria. I was like, this is my fault, but this is for me, because when you take responsibility and you have more control and you realize that you're the cause on your life. You're not affected. You're not in reaction mode anymore, because then that's where you build all these defense mechanisms. And I had to get out of reaction, because you can create and cause the life that you want. And when you
Whew.
realize responsibility for those things, then your whole life and your whole mind can shift. And you'll be
Let me tell you
fine.
something, brother. That is powerful. That is powerful. Go ahead. That is powerful.
But no, yeah, that's it, man. That's just what I've been feeling out here in Bali. It's turning vegan and drinking on my alkaline water. That's all I'm doing.
I love that, man. Look, the thing that has taught me the most, I love my good Bible, and I've, as a former pastor, I've learned so much from it and been able to apply it in ways that are very practical in my everyday life. So I'm not like super religious with all that stuff, but this is one thing I learned. Our original intent and design was to be fruitful and multiply. We were given creative power to name every animal, to run an entire garden that was supposed to be fruitful. Like, this is what we were told of our lives, that it was supposed to be fruitful, that we were supposed to see multiplication, that we weren't supposed to see lack, that we weren't supposed to be depressed, that we weren't supposed to be anxious or have anxiety, that we weren't supposed to have problems building things, because our lives were meant to be fruitful. And what happened was, we got this knowledge, this fake knowledge. We ate of this tree of knowledge of what was good and evil, this knowledge. And that knowledge actually made us aware of ourselves in a way that wasn't real. Let me just say that again. It made us aware of ourselves in a way that wasn't real. We were supposed to be naked, for all of my nudists out there, and unashamed. We were supposed to be naked and unashamed. And breaking that down to modern terms that we can apply that into, because we're supposed to wear our clothes. You'll get arrested if you go outside naked. To break that down in real terms, we're supposed to love ourselves completely and holistically. That when we see ourselves, we should not be ashamed.
And
And that's with everything.
but you know what that is, though, too. If you put it in modern term too, it's ego. Our egos created this shame. Our egos created this guilt. Our egos created all these things because we see ourselves as separate. If you believe in God, if you believe in universe, if you believe in protons,
Yes.
then you know that we all come from the same source. Like, we're just different versions of the same water. Some people are ice, some people are, coffee, some people are clouds, whatever it is, but we all return back to that ocean. We all return back to
Yes.
the original source. And people have to get past their egos to think that I'm just Elton, or I'm just Byron, or I'm just Jackie, or whatever your name is. When we start looking at that separation, then not only we don't see ourselves, but we don't see ourselves in others. Because now I can look at you and I can see myself in you, and I can give you and send you love because I know that's your intention. And at times we have intention of this separation, and we have this intention of comparison, and
Mm.
we compare. And even when I was a photographer, I know a lot of times I would always compare my work to other people. We
Come on,
get
talk about it,
of course,
creative, because that's powerful. I need you to hone in on that because
yes,
I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna pause you 2 seconds
okay,
because that right there, as a creative, I know there are some creatives watching, and as a creative, I know the feeling where you just want to be like, "Is my stuff matching them?" But go
yes.
ahead.
But my friend is asking me, was a photographer? I made a whole why I quit photography, but but yeah, when I was I listen, I'm bowing. But when I was a photographer, uh, I was so focused on comparison and getting the next best image, and so I would compare myself not only to other photographers and to other people's work who were
Mm.
different than me, but I would also value myself on the quality or level of the celebrity I shot. So I'm like, oh, if I'm not shooting celebrity X, Y, and Z, then these pictures don't mean as much, or my value isn't going to be the same. And I
Mm.
got tying my value to and my worth and my self-worth to what I did.
Mm.
And that's so many times I talk about this paradigm of the be do have. And a lot of times people will always talk about, oh, what I have, like the newest car, the newest shoe, even a six pack. They're like, oh, this is what I have. And
Yes.
you identify with those things, but what you have can be gone in a heartbeat. Then people identify with what they do. Like,
Mm.
okay, photographer, I'm the CEO, I'm the president, I'm whatever it is, you put this title on you, and then that.
Yes.
And it wasn't until I emptied out that glass, I emptied myself of everything that I was, I stopped identifying with things that were outside of me, that I could become and realize I'm not what I do, not what I have. I am who I am.
Mm.
And the journey is to find out who you are. That's the only reason why we're here, is to remember who you are, because you're already born who you are. You're already born in love. You're already born in peace. You're already born in abundance. Like you know how abundant we are? Do you know how, and when you talk about suffering and pain and all that, think about if you get a cut on your arm, like you get a little paper cut or whatever, there is a mechanism in our bodies that will heal that cut. You don't have to do anything. You
You don't have to
literally,
do anything.
anything, this cut will heal. You be like, oh, okay, it might be a little keloid. If you got keloid skin, a little scar, but everything in us is already abundant. Like, we have a healing mechanism inside of us. And so when people look outside of themselves for these titles, for these objects, for even love, when you look outside of yourself for somebody fulfills something in you, that's when you start making that mistake, and that's when you get in that cycle of giving the enemy all the power of you, and you become the enemy, man. And
Brother, you talking so good right now. Let me tell you why that's so good and why that is helping somebody right now as you getting claps and amens. Because you mentioned earlier about the cup overflowing. You use that analogy of that. Why do I randomly have a cup right here that's empty? But you're using the imagery of that Applebee's cup over there. And I, and I honestly am telling you, brother, the reason why people's cups are overflowing and abounding and feeling fulfilled in love is because it's not their cup. Let me tell you something. God promised to fill your cup.
Mm.
If it's not your cup, God ain't filling it. So what a lot of people are feeling is the residual overflow of the people that they're mimicking and mirroring.
Yep.
And so you will never get full trying to imitate other people, but you will get a bit. Just like this little cup got a little bit of water in it, you will get a little bit of their overflow. And so you will never get full because God doesn't fill a cup that isn't yours. He
Exactly.
fills the person who has their own cup, who is living in their own truth, who is walking on their own path, who is being themselves. God fills that cup. And if you happen to copy that, you will get a little bit of that. And so people are walking around copying 5 or 10 people, and they're wondering why they're only a quarter full all their lives. But I promise everybody watching, including you, Elton, you're feeling this right now in your own life in Bali and all that self-love. You are right with all that greenery and all that beautiful landscape behind you, that living in your truth grants you access to the fullness of love.
No, indeed, man, indeed, and that's why you don't want that cup filling with sewer water. You
I
don't
love
want
this sewer water.
the juice in that cup, bro. Yeah, I think it's when people understand the importance of self-love and understand the importance of authenticity. I want everybody that's watching or seeing this to really think about: do you truly know yourself? Do you truly? Because it's a lot of times we tell ourselves so many things. I'll give you another example.
Yeah.
For when I quit corporate America to become a photographer in the first place, I knew it was something within me that called me to do it, but
Yeah.
I couldn't say I was a photographer. I was like, oh, I take pictures, I got a camera, but I couldn't even say I was a photographer for so many years. And it was like that limiting belief. And
Yeah.
I got hired to host a travel show. I was like, oh, I don't want to be in front of the camera. I denied myself so much because of the ego, and because of I didn't give myself the permission to be my full self, and realize that, just because I was a photographer doesn't mean that's who I am. It's something I do, but it's not who I am.
Yes.
And it's no coincidence to me, especially what
I'm watching too. Go ahead.
Is that he's called me to be in front of a camera. I still don't know why, but I've done so many of these IG lives lately. I've done so many podcasts and things like that lately, and I'm like, what am I here for? Why am I called to do this? So right now, like you said, I'm just listening. I'm like, okay, and I'm not letting it feed into my ego, like, oh, I got a show, or oh, I'm on this, or oh, I'm on that.
Yeah.
That it's more so, what message, or how can I be used as some kind of vessel? What message can I use to deliver? And how can my authenticity help somebody else find theirs? And I think that's the point. And that's the point when you look at your own cup, you can start filling it from yourself through God or through the universe, whatever you look at.
Well, that is the power of being in your own lane, is that you realize, everybody say hey to Jakes. Hey. That is the power of being in your own lane, my brother, is that you realize that you don't have to worry about that imposter syndrome that a lot of us live in. A lot of us live in that space, and we are unfulfilled because of it. We are saddened, we are depressed, we are hurt, we are feeling like we aren't ourselves, we are feeling like we are not enough, and we are living in a space where we literally are trying to be something that we're not. Look, I decided at some point in my life that I needed to be full. I needed to be full. I needed to live a full existence. I needed to get everything out of my life that I deserved. And I think we don't use that word enough. I think we attach it to pride and arrogance. I deserve this. And that's why I tell people love is not something that you earn. Love is something it's a birthright. It's something that you're born to deserve. You deserve love. You were born of God. God is love. God birthed you with love intended on your life. It's like the prodigal son. I don't care how far you go away. I don't care how deep you pull away from what is home in your life. When you come home, love welcomes you back. Love says you deserve this love, and I will put my finest robe on you again. As soon as you come to your senses, as it says that prodigal son did, that you come to your senses, you will instantly be brought back in, and a celebration will happen in your life. I tell singles all the time who are hurting and feeling like, oh, I can't believe in love. I say, you know what? You just strayed. You've just strayed. You are the prodigal that strayed away from the belief that you have a home. Because love always has a home. It always has a space where it can exist, and it has a space where it can flourish. Not only did that prodigal son come home, but he was welcomed by servants. He was served in that space when he
Come on.
was eating out of a pig pen. Let me tell you, I don't care how low you think you've been in your life, you deserve, when you come to your senses, you deserve being served by love. Love was built to serve you, not to hurt you, not to harm you, but to be your true self. And your true self is a son or a daughter of love. You are a son or a daughter of love. And
But
to walk in that says, this is what I deserve. I have an inheritance. I don't know about you, brother, but I have an inheritance of love. And love welcomes me. The moment that I come back to my senses and realize that I deserve love, guess what? In that moment, it all changes.
but
Whew.
Byron, we need to like. I mean, I know we don't have that much time, but I
Come
really,
on.
I really, I've been meditating and ruminating and
Come on,
deliberating
ruminating.
what
We need some rumination.
on what on what love is, and I know you gave that word, but people, there's so many definitions of love, and people don't really know what love is. A lot of times, I have this theory. Hear me out.
Go
Uh,
for it. I love this. Go for it.
I have this theory about, everybody talks about the love language, right?
Yes.
And people have asked me to take these tests, and I was like, I don't get it, because people, they say, oh, I'm physical touch, or oh, I'm quality time, or I'm words of affirmation. This is going to be controversial. People might,
Go for it.
but I don't know if there's so much as love languages as much as trauma responses. Because if you hear me out now, if you feel like quality time is your love language,
You
did you
talking. No, you
find
say that.
younger? If you feel like words of affirmation are your love language, did you get told you were special and you were loved when you were growing up? And a lot of times, these things are occurring in our childhood, where we're told that we're not enough, or we're told that we're not capable of being hugged, and somebody's father or mother may not have hugged them, and next thing you know, they need to feel special, they need to feel some way, and that leaves a lot of cups that are empty, because people look for these quote unquote love languages in from other people. So now they're like, oh well, this guy, he didn't tell me I was cute today. Tell yourself you cute.
Woo.
Oh, you're cute. This girl didn't spend quality time with me. She didn't come home right after work and spend time with me because she wanted to go to the gym. And so you're feeling some kind of way because your girlfriend or your wife wants to go to the gym, and you're sitting
You
there like,
talking good.
spend some quality time with me. And that's not love. That's, like I mentioned earlier, my mother showed me what love is as she was sitting there dedicated, showed me what that means, and the sacrifice. And so many times people aren't going to sacrifice or make
Oof.
to themselves to show love. So it's just something I've been, like I said, ruminating about. I'm like, people really know they love languages, but they don't even know what they need to heal within themselves to find love, and stop looking for somebody else to fill you up. You got to be filled with yourself. You shouldn't want to need anybody. You should only want somebody who's going to match the same energy you bring in. You know how they say keep that same energy? You got to be that energy first. So that's what I think about love. I think
Ooh.
that we got to let a lot of those things go and empty up that cup.
Brother, let me just tell you, you dropped some knowledge right there. I'm gonna tell you, as a love coach, it does not mean that I stop learning and stop praying and stop seeking God, because You know, God is love. And so that means that love has mysteries inside of it because God does. You know, whatever you say about the universe, of course, the universe is far beyond us. Whatever you ascribe God as, there are mysteries that we are still digging into. I think what you just said blew my mind in a quick way, like a quick firework, because I felt like this is why I did not attach to the love languages. And your point was so eloquent about trauma, but I've often said that and never attributed it to the five love languages. I have often said that in most situations when we are looking for love and we haven't found that level of self-love, think of it this way. Let me put it this way. If I love myself at a 5 and I get in a relationship and I'm hoping that this person loves me at a 10, right? Then everything beyond the 5 is really just an idol.
Yep. And you put it on the.
I am worshiping this relationship to that level of the 5 that's in between my self-love and the love I want from this person. Because now this person is not just an idol, but they also are someone I'm dependent on. Like if you were to do your taxes, you would have to be a dependent under them because you are a dependent on that love in order to feel fulfilled. Like if your love languages is gift giving and they don't give you a gift every week, then you feel less than because, and I've been there, and this is why I can talk about it, because I've literally been in this space where I was like, you didn't tell me you love me today. And
Yep.
it's like, but I'm here with you every day. Like, what are you talking about? Have I gone anywhere?
Yeah.
Have I stepped down on the relationship? Like, what are you talking about, Byron? Like, of course I love you. Like, what are you talking about? What do you need? What more do you need for me to do? And the moment you step into that, it is literally not only idolatry, but it is showing what you said about the trauma that you have that is saying, unless someone proves to me that I'm enough, that I'm worthy of love, unless someone shows me that I don't feel enough. And that is only, this is why there are so many marriages that fail, because there are people who get in marriage hoping that the marriage will elevate them
Yeah.
to the level where it's almost like getting a promotion on your job. You don't really love yourself, but you hope that putting a doctor behind your name or getting CEO behind your name will make you feel special enough that it fills in the gap between what the self-love work that you didn't do because you're still at a 5. You hope it fills in the gap.
Yep.
And people get in relationships and marriages and hope that it fills in the gap.
Yep.
And that hurts the relationship.
Yeah, no, and that distance between the 5 and the 10 should be all love you feel for yourself. Like if there's any gaps, if there's any distance, that's going to be the emptiness you feel when that person or if that person ever leaves. And you might go from a 5 to down to a 2 and don't know what to do at a 2. And then you have to go back to a 0 and learn how to love yourself. And that's where I went. I had to go all the way down to 0 to finally understand how to love myself. And
I love that, brother.
yeah.
I'm telling you, man, this is powerful for a lot of people because there are so many people, going back to what you said earlier, who are in this cycle of trying to post a better picture, trying to get a bigger following, trying to get a bigger name, trying to have more clout, and trying to find love that looks like what they want in their lives. And in all of that, it is only a mirror of what they really lack within themselves. And that is, this is so powerful what you said earlier about people and when you get in relationships. People are literally a mirror for you. So when you are dating and you find people who don't match what you know your real potential is, when you meet those people and you keep meeting those people, I had somebody keep saying, I meet these people and they're not good, they're not right, they're not the right. That is love saying, hey, that person, don't beat them up because all they're doing is serving as a mirror for who you are. You are attracting the love you deserve at this phase of self-love.
And that's exactly true. Like, and that's what I was saying about the responsibility. When you start taking responsibility for what you put out, that whatever energy, whatever vibes you put out, whatever you're putting out is what you're going to attract. But even deeper, it's what you believe, and it's what you believe you deserve. So if you believe you deserve Kraft macaroni out the box, then you're gonna get Kraft macaroni out the
I
box.
want some
But if you
lobster macaroni. Give me some lobster.
lobster mac from your great grandma knows how to cook, like, then you're gonna get that. So you have to really start believing in what you deserve, and it starts off with that journey inward, like you said, and then that connection to what love is, and identifying what you want out of your own self, and what you can, and stop comparing yourself to everybody. You have to become literally blind and deaf for a while. And when that, like, because I was alone, Byron, I was alone for like 6 months. Like, all this travel I was doing, I was sleeping in tents by myself in Namibia. I was in uh in Brazil crying by myself. Like, it was all this time that I spent alone, and really breaking this habit of being the Elton was. It's a great book by Joe Dispenza. It's called Break the Habit of Being Yourself. And
Yes.
I had to break that habit because I had done all these habits that had got me far in life, and it made me successful, but I didn't understand who I truly was. And so when you break those habits and break those beliefs, then you can start becoming who you really are. And everything will attract to you, man. Like, when you figure out who you really are, the way everything will fall into your lap, the way you talk about abundance, what? You talk about manifestations, what? You talking about
Brother.
joy. The moment you do that is the moment that that stuff will come to you, because it's not about wanting or desiring, because like you said before, the more you want something, that's a representation of lack. That's a lack emotion, because you're putting it up on a pedestal. You're saying, oh, I don't have this, so I want it. And the more you want it, the further it'll get away from
Ooh, that is good. Say that book name for somebody again, because
you.
they need that.
It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, by Dr. Joe Dispenza. He has a ton of videos on YouTube. He has a podcast and all that, but it's amazing. And when you understand, that you have to let, like that whole wanting and all that, like, that's not real. So I look, people talk about law of attraction. I really am talking about the law of vibration out here. That's what I've learned.
Yes. Yes.
Vibration of love, and that vibration of of knowing, of gratitude, of knowing that you have it, and being happy for the things that you have in your life right now. Then God will be like, okay, you need more of that.
That is powerful. The reason why I love that is because I call it the law of attraction, the law of love, because love is literally like air. It is everywhere. And there was a story about the prophet Elijah that had a woman that needed to pay her bills, and she had a pot. And he was like, all right, well, I'm going to fill this pot with the stuff, the oil that you can sell so you can have money. She wanted to, and she was a widow. And he said, go get some more pots. And the more pots you can get, they will be filled. So it was the maximum of what the pot she could, how many pots she could bring. That's how much oil would come in her life. And that is so representative of love, because as big as you are, as much room as you open yourself up to, as much love as you open yourself up to, that's how much abundance flows into your life. Brother, in the last few minutes we have, like, this has been good. I don't know about anybody else, but I feel better. I feel better after this talk. In the last few minutes, let's make it real tangible for somebody. For you who found yourself and really was in this space where you were looking for more in your life, what was the one thing, give us one thing that helped you really find greater self-love?
Ooh. Ooh, why is this the hardest question in the world now?
Because this is the question we all are asking.
It was I think the thing that helped me find the greatest self-love was looking at, finally at 38 years old, looking at all the things that I had grown to hate about myself.
Mm.
When I finally looked at everything that I did not like about myself, and realized that, yo, I have to give these things love. I have to love myself, flaws and all. I have to be able to be in front of anybody else and stop being this imposter like you talked about. And when you can start loving everything that you don't like about yourself, because God loves all those things. God loves every part about you. You're created and you're abundant. So when you can love every part about yourself, if you think you got a little flabby stomach, if you think you got a crooked eye, whatever it is, you have to love every single thing about yourself. And the moment that I could look at the things that I hated and confront them and turn that hate into absolute love, that really helped the journey. But I had to lose everything to get there. And I don't think people necessarily have to go as extreme as I did, but there's a chance that start looking at the things that you hate and start observing the things that trigger you. We all have triggers, and when you start looking at triggers and figure out where they're coming from, then you'll have a better understanding of who you are, and then you'll be at a point to start loving those things a little bit more.
I love that. Thank you. That was well said. I don't even want to add to that. I just want to say thank you for your time, and for everyone who is out there, including you, Elton, who is in a space where you are finding yourself, where you are discovering more self-love in your life. Remember this, that you are worthy of love. My brother said it so eloquently, like it is so true. And I want you to take this in, that everything you've been through is on purpose. There is nothing about your journey that is a mistake, a mishap, that is off of the plan or off of the path. And you might have been driving asleep at the wheel, but now that you have full control, you get to see everything that's around you and take ownership of that moment. So own this place and celebrate. Like, you can focus on what you don't have. But the best thing to do is to focus on being, let me just tell you what that sunrise represents right now behind you, brother. As we saw a little darker earlier, what that sunrise represents is that in every day, no matter how dark it gets, there's a sunrise, there's a new beginning. And I believe in new beginnings and waking up. And the moment you wake up to who you are, it's a new beginning. So take your new beginning and go forward, brother. I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of the work you've done on yourself, and I'm so proud of this journey. Tell everybody where they can find you, my man.
Yeah, so they can find me right now, the real me, not the Instagram version, on my YouTube channel. It's just my name, EltonAndersonJr.com. Not .com, but Elton Anderson Jr. But my YouTube channel, I think it's a lot of great things on there, and I'm giving you my journey real time. And I also just started a podcast called the Detroit Chopra Podcast.
Come on.
On Deepak Chopra. I haven't released an episode yet, but I have an Instagram page that kind of has a lot of the things and the musings and the kind of words that have been helping me get through everything.
Well, thank you so much. You are amazing, and I love the work you're doing. You have a blessed one, brother. Thank you for coming on today.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the words, man. I was happy to wake up early this morning and get this word. And your beard is gold, so I'm going back to tending mine.
Much love.